Hello and welcome to the How to Hobby podcast. I'm your host, John Power, and this is episode 159 of our show here. The How to Hobby Boys back to you again behind the mahogany desk on another lovely week. Friday, best day of the week, as always, coming to you. And we welcome you to the How to Hobby Lounge. Shawnee B, my fearless co host, joining me behind the desk as always. And I'm sure he's had a standout week so far. Probably hitting homers or something is what he does in his spare time.
I wish. It actually has been a pretty good week. I had a good weekend. Went to a Padre game. They went to overtime, got the 10th inning, watched them beat the Red Sox, which was very funny
Whoa.
because we were in the entire section filled with Red Sox fans, and they were just chanting and leering the whole time of just yelling at the Padres. Then to watch them lose in that final extra 10th inning was so vindicating. To see everyone. And as soon as it happened, everyone just quietly, somberly left. And you were like, ha, all that talking was happening during the game, but now, no, now you're just quiet. So it was a lot of fun. And then I came to kind of a realization over the weekend. I've always been somebody that likes a clean apartment. I don't know why. I've just always been like, I like a clean apartment. And over the last week, my apartment's gotten kind of messy. It's just been so much going on in life, and I haven't really had time to clean or vacuum or do the normal house chore stuff that I would do. I've kind of just been running in and out of so many different things. And then I kind of had this realization yesterday. I was like, as I look out over my messy apartment, I was like, you know what? I don't like it, but each little pile of stuff is kind of a memory from a day where it was like, oh my God, I just didn't have time. So I kind of just threw everything down. And it's been kind of neat, actually. The messy apartment feels like an apartment that's been lived in. I think sometimes my
Oh.
apartment, because I'm so minimalist, I guess, my apartment sometimes feels very stringent and like just not very exciting. But, it's looking around, I'm seeing my hat and motorcycle stuff all over and backpack and clothes. And while it kind of drives my inner neat freak crazy, I don't know, it's kind of fun to look around and see it feels like my apartment's lived in. So, yeah, it just kind of came to that realization and it helps me feel a little bit better about my laziness when it comes to cleaning my apartment.
Well, that's nice. I'm what an interesting takeaway. I'm glad you're feeling at ease about the mess. It's always a good place to be. It was another big weekend in sport for the cycling world, I have to say, Sean, along with that Padres hot win. We had one of the biggest events of the year in endurance cycling and running, and that's Leadville. So Leadville is the highest town in the U.S. It sits
Okay.
at over 10,000 feet, and they run a race every year. In the bike side, it's a 100-mile race up to 12,000 feet, for 100 miles and then back into town. And it's a big deal. And man, it was another crazy race. And the animal himself, spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't watched Leadville, if you don't want to get it spoiled, go watch it now. Keegan Swenson just handled business again. This is the guy that rode Arizona BWR,
Oh, okay.
handled it
Okay. I
there.
remember. Okay. I do remember you talking about this guy.
And then, he vomited coming over the line. I shared that over in Monterey for Sea Otter is the bike race there.
Hmm.
And the other thing he's very well known in the world of cycling for is his aptitude at over 10,000 feet. Because most people take a major degradation at 10,000
Hmm.
feet or higher. This guy doesn't, apparently. Ironically, leading up to the race, this is my favorite part. There was a video that another racer had let out of him training with Keegan, and he had a buddy on an e-bike that was filming the whole thing, right? And Keegan goes ahead of both of them, of course, on his regular analog bike because he's training. He's training hard on the big climb. It's called
Yeah.
Columbine, and it's the high climb of the day. And the guy on the e-bike goes, dude. He turns the camera on. He's like, it's even hard to follow this animal on this thing. And he's like out of breath, like legitimately, like Keegan. You see him like flying away.
Uh-huh.
So, needless to say, that trend continued on race day, and he had, I think, a 4 minute lead on the closest competitor in the end, which is, I mean, in cycling, that's like a lifetime. That's a long time.
That is a long time.
And that's second and third place. I think he came in 10 minutes ahead of like fourth and fifth. So he is the Leadville. This is called Leadville. He is the record holder at a sub. It's like a 5:30 or something, 5 hours and 30 minutes to complete this race. He came in over that, but the conditions were a little bit windy and a little bit slick. So yeah, a little harder to keep the pace up, but it just unbelievable, right? His like cadence, I guess, going up Columbine was 85 RPMs. Like that was his minimum cadence going up the high climb of the day. So
I
it's,
I don't know anything about cycling. Is that a lot?
yeah, 85 rotations of the pedals per minute while you're still going up a
Oh,
12% grade.
okay. Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
that
so
is
you're
pretty
going straight
fast.
uphill. Yeah, it's an impressive cadence. I mean, some people like if you're a grinder, 65 RPMs on a flat
Okay.
is can be like an average if you're just you don't like spinning heavy. Some
Hmm.
people don't like doing that. Anyway, I digress. Great weekend for that. And I got some new bike organization in the garage, so that was my little project for myself.
Nice.
And so now I have the bikes up vertically on the wall. I wanted to clean up. Once you have three steeds, you kind of gotta get them a corral. So
You
that's what
got
I
it.
did.
Do your bikes have kickstands on them or are they kickstandless?
No,
No, okay. Mine
that is
doesn't either. And it's been the most annoying part with my bike is in order to store it really well, I either have to lean it against something or flip it upside down and rest it on its handles in the seat. But it's such a pain in the butt. I've been thinking about getting a kickstand for it, like one of the kind of universal kickstands, because it's annoying not having one.
yeah, just don't ride next to me with the kickstand, man. That's all. Gotta go full arrow, Sean. So with that, why don't we move into what we're doing for the topic as I completely poo-poo your kickstand idea. You're like all disappointed, like, oh, I thought it was a good idea. You can get a kickstand, Sean. I think it's if it works, it works.
Uh,
They also have really good bike vertical wall for
I've
apartments.
I've
So if
seen
you do
them.
want
I
to
just
look into
haven't
those,
I haven't wanted to commit to it, but I probably should. Because it is kind of driving me crazy that having this thing just sitting there. But yeah, I haven't fully committed to it yet.
well, let me know what you need to do because I got plenty of opinions for it as
Okay,
always.
deal.
So, listeners, thank you for being here. This is episode 159. Welcome to the How to Hobby Lounge. Sean and we've been focusing heavily on executing when we're in the thick of it for Q3. This has been really the theme of this quarter. Things that always get, I don't know what it is, Sean, this stress of like the year coming to a head just starts to really, July, August, man, it starts to kind of like rear its ugly head.
Mhm.
And you're forced to do a lot of executing. Thankfully, I've had a couple wins in the process of executing over the last couple weeks. So that's good. I think you have as well.
Yep.
So hopefully, listeners, you've been encouraged by hearing some W's but also knowing that we're there with you in the stress of it. And when you're in the thick of it, come into the How to Hobby Lounge. It's a safe place here. We got the plushest seats in town. Grab yourself a choice beverage on the way in. Bartender Brandon behind the back. This is our dude. He's got you. Sit yourself in. And don't forget to leave a like and or follow us wherever you're listening to your podcast. We do have an Instagram, and that's at How to Hobby Podcast. YouTube, we've been putting up YouTube videos, shorts, full episode content. Go check us out there if you're interested in the YouTube. I think a lot of people are, so go check it out. Give us a thumbs up. And we do have a way to get in touch with us directly, and that's howtohobbypodcast@gmail.com. But without further ado, we're going to dive into the content for this episode, and this is going to be all about our tech and what we've been using as we've been going through 2025, but specifically in the thick of it. It's something that you can really lean on today to take a little bit of stress and a little bit of extra thought off your plate when possible. So with that, we're going to talk about defining a standout piece of tech Sean's going to take it away with his wonderful criteria.
Let's hit it. I'm going to break this into two categories because I think technology for me fits into both software or programs and hardware or physical objects. And for me, I think a standout piece of tech, whether it's software or hardware, where they kind of cross, is anything that truly brings positivity to my life and makes my life easier and better in some way. It doesn't have to make my life better in all ways, but in some way. I think that's what really makes a standout piece of gear. So for me, for a software, it has to be something that is relatively easy to use or understand. It doesn't have to be super easy. Like I don't mind a challenge and a little bit of an uptick of having to learn how to use it, but I don't want it to be so complicated and so niche that I can't use it for my general life, right? Like if it's
Yeah,
just this small thing, not really a fan. I like it to be something that is usually free because I don't really like to have to pay for technology if I can avoid it, live that budget life. I like things
like
that are
that.
generally free or cheaper, but the cost is something that it far outweighs the or the benefits far outweigh the cost. And then I think the last thing for me is it's something that I can go to and it lasts for a while. So I like software that's a little bit more developed, whether it's a game or if it's a new piece of tech, something that is supported, something that can last for a while, especially when you're getting into the hardware. I hate things that just fall apart immediately. That's not what we're here about. That's not what we like. I like software or tech that's going to last for a while, be used and abused, still be able to kind of stand up the testament of time. So I like tech. John likes tech. We all kind of like tech. I do have kind of a love-hate relationship where I do love tech, but I also kind of hate it because I hate the negatives that sometimes can come with tech. Like I was telling John before, like I kind of hate my phone. I love my phone, but I hate my phone. I love that my phone lets me do all these fun things with my hobbies in my life, but they hate that if you're not careful, you can get sucked into the negativity that having
Oh yeah.
technology at your fingertips can do. And I hate that there always comes that con with the pros. So it's like I love my phone and I hate my phone. I love softwares, I hate softwares. I kind of do that back and forth across. So those are kind of the things that for me stand out, make a standout piece of tech, something that's simple but can still be powerful, but simple enough to be able to understand, something that ideally is free or the benefits far outweigh the cost of the thing. And then something that lasts for a while. It's been tested, it's been proven. It's not in the beta phase or alpha phase. It's something that you know is going to be lasted, you can trust, and it lasts for a while. I'm curious, those three ring true for you, John? Do you have anything to add to those?
Oh, it resonates so true as always, Sean. You're the best in the business. I
We
pay
did
you the
not
big
coordinate
bucks.
this. We did not coordinate this ahead of time.
Yeah, yeah. You get paid the big bucks for a reason. You know, the podcast pays really well these days. So of course you're gonna lay down some of the top tier criteria of the year here, where we are, with our multi six figure deals that we keep reining in this year. But the thing is, man, as you were breaking that down, I couldn't help but think of some of the most analog things in my life that I just love. And they all hit on every single thing you said. They're simple, they become free, and they last for a while. And I was just thinking this. I replaced my brake pads on my bicycle.
Hmm.
And whenever you replace a component on something that you've had for so many years, it almost it's like this rejuvenating experience where you go, wow, I can now use this for another 3,000 or 10,000 miles. In
Yep.
this case, it's brake pads, so probably another 5,000 miles. But they're so cheap. I mean, the brake pads for a bike for rim brake, I don't have disc brakes. It's that
Hmm.
old, and the pads are like 250 for a pair of two.
What?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is like Shimano. Just yeah, you can just
Wow.
and it's just a piece of rubber, and you just
Okay.
slide it
Yeah.
into the slot, and it abrades away over time, right?
Okay.
But this idea to me was just, man, what an amazing machine that you
Hmm.
can just replace a tire or I mean, a bicycle for me will always, I think, until the day I die, be the world's most perfectly designed interface because it's got all the right inputs. Like when you have it dialed in right, it just feels good to get on
Hmm.
it and move.
Yeah.
And same can be said about your body. Like when your body's dialed in right, it feels good to just get out and move. So I think, this can really taking that formula and moving it to a piece of hardware or really a platform. Again, we're not going to pull any punches here, listeners. It could be actually advanced software or it could be an analog item. We're not going to, it could be anything here. And that's why we've said it's software or platform slash hardware, because it very well could be just an analog item that you don't need a new digital version of, period.
Yep.
And that's a very important thing. So, with that, Sean, great job. We're going to move into what tech has worked for us this year so far. I'm going to start with my software. There's a couple different groups where we tried to pull for this, and it was pretty simple. A lot of people are using food software or food apps. A lot of people are using apps for fun. And then, of course, and really, I think the really singer when it comes to looking at software today or pieces of software that enhance your life, it's all about utility. And for
Yep.
me, being an engineer and a dad, it's how is this going to enhance my life and make it more simple? So I'll start off here, Sean, with more of the things that I've been really realizing. And I love that you brought up this last part of the criteria. The software is well vetted and it keeps getting better and better and better. And I think there's two apps that I really would bring to the forefront of that as being the poster child for that idea where it's like great thought was put in place. Really, they were just early to the scene and they're both free. So that's really, really important. Now, in the beginning, they weren't necessarily simple, but airline apps were pretty confusing back in the
They
day at the
they
at,
were
at the very
very
beginning.
very difficult to use.
And now, man, with the way that it's just enhanced between the software itself and moving on to the hardware. So they've added a new thing for, they call them passes. And this
Okay.
has been something that Apple had started, I think, 3 years ago in their software, where you're actually going to have a small widget that pops up on your standby screen that'll give you bite sized pieces of information about whatever you may be waiting to do.
Oh,
So for airlines, it just works perfectly for boarding information. Your hey, click on this to access your boarding pass. And now every single one of them, whether it's Southwest, American, United, Delta, they all have a great app interface system. And you can, again, purchase flights, but most importantly, reference all of your information for the flight on the day of travel. And I think that's the biggest thing for me is like on the day, how am I going to get through security and know where I'm going to sit with the least amount of impact? And additionally, I don't have to go to the counter and get a. Remember that when you actually had to go and
yes.
get your physical boarding pass printed out? Oh, only they could do it for you. Man, that
Uh-huh.
was such a nightmare. Um, so yeah, for me, that's been a huge one. And then additionally, as a secondary to that, in terms of utility, the Avis app. So
Hmm.
I only started using the Avis app a year ago. I would say it was about a year to a year and a half ago when I started doing more business travel again. I downloaded it because you get Avis Preferred, and what that pretty much guarantees you is when you go through Avis, you don't have to go to the counter again. They literally on the app notify you you're in stall B36 and
Oh,
your
that's
keys are
cool.
in the car. So literally, when I get to the Avis lot, I go right to my spot in the lot. I get in the car, it's unlocked. I throw my stuff in and I drive away. Period. And if you have not used that interface yet, Sean, oh, I
I
highly recommend.
I haven't. I still kind of go the analog route of waiting in line to the counter, getting the key, getting all the forms, doing everything. I didn't really think there was an app, to be totally honest.
Oh, dude, yes, and it's free. So the most important thing to realize here is one, your company probably has an Avis
Hmm.
code associated with it. Two, if you link that code to your app, like if you link them, because
Yeah.
typically there's a business concierge through your provider, and if you link that to your account, then again it's just one less thing to think about. I literally
Yeah.
just when I get off the plane and I'm on business travel, it's that easy. But additionally, Sean, because I've realized how good Avis is as an app, I just booked two rental cars this week for different trips me and my wife have coming up through the app right away. And
Huh.
it's just so easy. I mean, you just go on there, okay, boop, 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 point, and it's done. So I highly recommend the Avis app, listeners. If you have not been a fan or used it so far, or maybe you just didn't know it they had an app. It's a good one. Sean, give me some of your utility based software you've been using this year.
Yeah, I would say I've got two. The first one is simple, and people may kind of laugh when they hear me say it, but I've been using Google Calendar for years, right? I mean, probably going on 10 years. I've been using Google Calendar for almost all of my personal life. I don't do work there, but almost all of my personal life. I've got shared calendars with my family. I've got personal calendars. I've got a Tableau Pi calendar, and we keep all our events in there, and I have them all turned on. But what I didn't realize is there was a widget for my phone that I could put on the home screen that is a shortcut for the Google Calendar app. And it just shows me I can like swipe through all of the events I have on my calendar. The reason that was very helpful for me is I was finding specifically with say the Tabata Pi calendar, which for anyone that doesn't know, John and I were in Tabata Pi. It's an honor society for engineers when I was in college. And then now I'm part of the San Diego alumni chapter on the board of directors. We constantly have to send emails out to people. We constantly are having events. We've got meetings, board meetings we've got to be in. We do all of this. And I honestly kept forgetting until like the day of. I'm like, oh my God, I forgot I needed to go do that thing. Or, oh my God, I have a meeting tonight that I totally forgot about. Or the last time you were in town, John, I was like, oh, I have a game night I need to make it to tonight, and I totally forgot. So what I started doing is I found the Google Calendar can widget to my phone. I have a Samsung, and I could widget so that it shows me a shortcut of my calendar. So I can just very quickly from my home screen swipe through and see everything that's on my to-do list. It doesn't have to be Google Calendar. You can do that with probably any calendar, but it was just putting it front and center on my phone. Every time I open my phone, the first thing my eyes go to is my calendar, and I see everything that's on my to-do list was game changing for me. Like it truly was game changing. I became better at a lot of things. I wasn't dropping the ball on things. I wasn't forgetting. So that right there, number one game changer. Love having that on my phone. Second is actually something that I was against for a long time. I did not like it. I didn't like the idea. I didn't like the concept. It's the generative AI stuff. Like I was so against it because I really hated that people were taking the word of Google, whether it's the Google Gemini or Microsoft Copilot or ChatGPT as gospel, right? Of just blindly believing whatever the apps told them. And I really hated that because I think it takes away all the critical thinking people should have of when they're actually going down the rabbit hole of researching something. They should find the things the articles, they should find the things that'll back up what they're believing or challenge what they're believing. But if you just go to ChatGPT and say, give me five things that support my beliefs, it's really easy for it to just spit that out at you. And I don't like that it can do that. And I think it's shortcutting people's ability to actually research. But my work brought in Microsoft Copilot as a tool that we're now allowed to use. It's shut off from the servers because they don't want us to upload documents to it because a lot of our documents are, or the majority of our documents are protected, IP in place, patents and everything. But they started allowing us to use Copilot for things like editing emails, editing messages, compiling data. So, like we ran surveys with a bunch of our coworkers on just data of what they think about the company, how they're doing, career growth, stuff like that. We were getting huge Excel documents full of paragraphs of data from people, and it was too much for us to parse through ourselves. So we just exported, dumped into Copilot, and said, write us a 5-page summary of what everybody here is saying. And it just click, boom. We used it to make graphics, images for presentations, to bring some humor into things. I mean, it's crazy. I didn't know it could do things like this, and yet I'm starting to worm my way into using the utility. So this is new for me. For anyone younger, you're probably cringing because you're saying, "Oh my God, he's so old. How did he never get on the bandwagon?" But I will fully say I was against it for a long time. I'm
Sean, like what, 7 months? I mean, really, it's only been around for
no,
about a year.
it's been around for a couple of years. I mean, look at all of the Google Assistants and stuff that we've had. Those are in a way
Okay,
generative
yeah,
AI, right? And we've
but I
had
mean that when ChatGPT really came to the forefront, it was end of last year, right? Pretty sure.
I think it was a little farther back than that. I think it was
Okay.
well
We'll have
over a
to
year that we've been looking at
we'll have to
this.
vet that, but I don't think you're too far behind. That's my
Yeah.
only point of saying that.
Fair.
I really don't
Fair.
think you're like I'm glad you're coming too. I think this is something that I also have been vetting these software
Hmm.
and I agree with you. I think it is one, the future, and two, it's a very specific thing. And it does a more specific function than I think people are actually that may just be looking at it as from a broad stroke standpoint. They may think a lot of what you hear is it's the future, it's going to take all our jobs.
Yeah.
It's not going to do either of those. Well, it will be a part of the future, but it's not going to take our jobs. And it does a very specific job.
Yeah. Also, I
So,
just looked it up. ChatGPT was released 3 years ago.
okay.
So it's
But
been out for a little bit, but it's still very new technology, still, not it's very, very used. There's a lot of other AI platforms out there for image generation and stuff. This is just the first time I've delved into this realm, and I think it's been pretty cool using it for work of I'm heated in a meeting or I'm heated, I got an email that I'm like really sets me off. I'll take my response, what I think I should say, and then I'll feed it to Copilot and be like, help me write this in a more professional manner. And it'll spit it
mm,
out in a non-upset way, whereas I'm very
oh,
accusatory and
that's a good one.
defensive. And then it's like, no, that here's how a better way to write it. I've even used ChatGPT for how to write text messages to some people. If it's something really, really heartfelt or like I'm struggling to figure out the right words to say, I'll be like, here's my draft. Can you help me make this a little bit better? I've done that in the past. So it's been in the utility wise, those have been the two biggest things I've been using as a widget and Copilot. And then when we get into the fun category, I've actually been diving into getting away from Pandora and Spotify and moving towards YouTube Music for my music app because I have YouTube Premium. I will tell you right now, I hate few things in life more than advertisements. I truly hate them to my absolute core. And I was willing, because still a student, I was willing to pay the $8 a month to get the YouTube Premium for the student package to be able to get rid of ads. Like I was willing to pay that just so I never had to see another ad on YouTube. Benefit when you have YouTube Premium, it comes with a service within YouTube Music, which is really cool because it's the same thing as Spotify. It's the same thing as Pandora, but
Yeah.
it's able to use my YouTube history to recommend songs. And I've been collecting my YouTube history for a decade of looking at music videos and different things. And it's able to use all of that to suggest new playlists and put into my super mix. So it's a much larger depth of
Understanding
use
about
under
you.
correct understanding about me. The algorithm has a much deeper understanding of me, and I like that because I honestly really don't like Spotify. The app to me is it's one of those apps that I think is cool, not user friendly. It's so hard to
Really?
navigate. Yeah, it's so hard for me to navigate.
Interesting.
It's hard for me to find anything. I struggle with it. It drives me crazy, and I personally think their algorithm to suggest new music is the absolute worst of any music app I've ever found. It always ends up just playing the same 10 songs every time I go to their Spotify DJ, and it's obnoxious. So I'm now getting into YouTube Music, and it has been really, really cool. Same user functionality as Spotify, where you can still look up music and I can play it through
Yeah.
my headset on my motorcycle. I can still really enjoy it while I'm at work. It's just got a much wider depth of knowledge on me and recommending songs. So it's been
Interesting.
very fun to learn to use that one, and it's for me easier to use than Spotify.
Well, that's great. I am still for sure a diehard Spotify user. I mean I've used it for 10 years now, so I feel like
Hmm.
it sort of seems like whatever music app you really sunk your teeth into, that's the one you stick to. And
Yeah.
so, I'm glad you found one that's working for you. Regarding food, there are two softwares that I think are have been a necessity for me over the last couple of years, which I couldn't, I don't know. I think it's just interesting because again, it's really kind of like first up to bat wins in this world. And the poster child for that idea in my mind when it comes to food is actually Starbucks.
Oh
So
yeah.
they are one of the world's premier apps, and it's just because they were first in to the game. I mean, they had an app. They started with their rewards program back in, I mean, it was 10 years ago at this point. It was probably 2016. Do you remember this? You could actually get a gold card at Starbucks and go in. And my mom was big into Starbucks.
Okay.
So she was a rewards member, but had like a physical gold card that you, yeah, that like distinguish you as like a Starbucks truther, more or less. But then
Uh-huh.
they took that idea and transferred it into an app. So you got, and now every time you go, you can, one, you can load money. Believe it or not, you can look this up. You can ask Chat GPT when you get home, listeners. Starbucks is one of the world's most wealthy institutions or money handlers that isn't
It
a bank.
it's the largest unregulated bank in the world.
And that's because you can upload your money to a gift card and it sits there. And I think at any given time, they have like over $100 million just sitting there of unclaimed
And
money.
they don't have all the same regulations that banks do on one federally insuring it. They don't have to keep that money available. They could just at one point say your gift cards are null and void and they can't pay you back for it if they went bankrupt. And they can do anything they want with that money. They can do things that banks can't do
I love
because of
it. It's
certain
so,
regulations and laws. They can take that money and put it towards almost anything. It's absolutely crazy. I watched a really cool video on it, but it's
oh, you got
absolutely
to send that to
crazy.
me.
I will absolutely send it to you. It's crazy what Starbucks is able to get away with because they have that amount of money, but they're unregulated. They're just a
Yeah.
private business.
Well, I mean, again, yeah, you could investments. I mean, hey, I've got this collateral and it's all these users and they're going to
Yep.
keep uploading. I'm going to put it in this high yield savings account as an example. Not really. They're
Yeah.
going to put it into some startup or something. But let's move on from that, Sean. The other one I use is Chipotle. And the key for both of these has been simplicity. Now, I will
Hmm.
say Chipotle still working in my mind, still working through a few of the kinks, but it does a really great job of one, just doing the function. I can
Hmm.
order from anywhere and it's ready to pick up. And ultimately, you get points. So it's the same type of thing. Every time you go in, you can scan and you're able to get rewards. And for me, if you're going to go someplace today and not get a reward credit for it, and potentially get money back in the form of an entree later or a free drink later, then you're kind of losing out on some freebies. And it's
Hmm.
just something, again, I don't use a ton. Those are my two biggest ones is just I know where I go. So if I'm going to be somewhere, I know I can count on Starbucks and I know I can count on Chipotle and they're consistent and it works for me. It's not going to like throw me into some crazy food funk or something.
Yeah.
So those are my two, and then I have one fun, and that's my Strava app. The reason why it's fun, well, it really helps me to get better at all the things I'm doing when it comes to tracking my activities. So, Sean, with that, why don't we move into our platforms for 2025 that really have been standing out to us? Yeah, what are some of your top platforms?
Yeah, I would say the number one is actually the funniest because it's hard to call it technology, but it really is. It's just old school technology, straight up pen and paper. Straight up pen and paper. I've been journaling a lot more going into this last couple of months. It's something that my therapist had tried to get me to do for a long time, and I was apprehensive with it because I never really had the energy to do it, and then I felt kind of funny because I was like, it's like keeping a diary. I never really had a diary. This feels weird. I'm kind of talking to myself. Like it was odd. But I started using it more and more, and it was actually really crazy. I had not used it in a while. I had one journal entry and I hadn't used it for a while, and then I was made my second journal entry, and they were both at very different mentalities of life, very different periods of life for me. I was at a really depressive point of life when I did the first journal entry, and I was at a really high point of life when I did the second one. And I actually brought this journal to my therapist and read her the two journal entries. and seeing the difference between the two was astounding. The change in my
Wow.
mentality from one to the next. And she goes, "You need to do this every day, even if you don't have the energy and you just put one sentence down. You need to do this every day because the way that you're sitting here having this realization of the dark time I was in to the light time I'm in now, and seeing all of that change in the last X amount of months for that, she goes, that's important. You need to see stuff like that. So I've started journaling and just straight up old pen and paper has been
I love it.
a lot of fun of just sitting in my bedroom in the morning with a cup of coffee and on the weekends and I'm just writing in the journal and sometimes I feel goofy because I'm like I don't even know what I'm gonna say, but it's just kind of flow of consciousness thing. But that's the number one thing that I've been using and it's actually been really impressive how bad my handwriting has become because when you don't write with a pen and paper anymore, right? I mean,
Yeah.
even when I'm doing hand calculations at work, I'm usually using Excel or MathCAD. So like I don't need to write things on pen and paper anymore. So realizing how bad my handwriting has gotten because my hand is not used to doing those motions anymore has been an absolute trip. And the second kind of hardware thing that I've been using a lot lately has been just my simple drip coffee pot. It goes in hand with the journal because I'm usually drinking coffee with the journal. But I for years did it went down the rabbit hole of ways to do coffee. I went to espresso, French press, like pour over coffee, doing the timers of pour over and getting the temperature so it's like exactly 195 degrees for the water and like I went
I
way
I
into the
remember
weeds.
that phase. Yep.
I went crazy. And I started realizing that the experience was not as enjoyable anymore. I just wasn't having the benefits were not outweighing the cons anymore. Now it's just a pain in the butt to do. It takes a lot of time. It's a lot of stuff to clean up afterwards. And it was kind of annoying. And I wasn't really seeing a difference in the coffee. So I wasn't feeling the benefits anymore. And so I finally said, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to get an old school $20 drip coffee pot from
Mr.
Target.
Coffee.
Mr. Coffee. It's
Yep.
one of the programmable ones. So I set it the night before and I have it go out. It's a five cup. Really, it's two good sized cups of coffee. It's a 5 cup is what they say, but it's not actually 5 cups. Like two good cups of coffee. And I will set that the night before and I'll wake up to the smell of fresh brewed coffee, especially on a morning where I don't have much time. I need to just make coffee and run to work. It's a fantastic thing. It's so simple. It's $20 and I
Yeah.
love this thing so much because the amount of time it saved, the ease of my life, and the fact that it's consistent.
Yeah.
It's not the best coffee I've ever had. I'll fully admit that, but it's consistent. It's the same every single time. I'm not worried about French press and oh, did I change the grind size? And oh crap, I forgot it on the counter. It's been sitting there for longer than it's supposed to be. Now it's going to be kind of bitter. It just
Did this ever happen to you? Has your filter ever popped out the bottom and you lose your whole bean load?
no, because I always double up on filters.
Oh, that dude, that happens to me sometimes, and I go
I
because I just do pour over, and I'm like,
yeah.
no.
So I did that one time with pour over. Actually, no, it was I was doing French press, and then I didn't want to deal with the sludge on the bottom, so I was like, I'll just pass it quickly through a coffee filter, and it got weak, and I went to kind of like bump it because it got clogged with all the silt from the bottom of the French press, and then the seam popped open, and then all that sludge just poured right into my
Yep,
coffee.
yep,
I'm like, well,
it's
that
the worst.
completely defeats the purpose of why I was doing this extra work. But it's
Mis
just it's so simple, just a little $20 Mr. Coffee from Target, and it's like the happiness I get from getting to set this the night before and click the little brew later button and set the clock so it goes off at say 5:30 a.m. as I'm getting up and getting ready to go to work. It's crazy. It's like old school me. That's what my parents had when I was a kid. We had, it was a big Mr. Coffee, but that's what we had. It was just a giant carafe, and you would make that in the morning, and then they would just leave it on there. And then my brother and I would get home from school, and we'd be like, oh, it's coffee time. And we'd go and we'd get the super sweet vanilla sugary creamer. We'd put more creamer than actual coffee in it, but we wanted a little bit of that caffeine.
Oh
And
yeah.
then we would drink that coffee. And then come to find out years later, my brother was self-medicating for his ADD with the caffeine. That's why one of the reasons we did it is we noticed when he drank the coffee, he could focus better and do his homework because he didn't want to take any of the ADD
Oh yeah.
medications,
Yeah,
but
the Adderall.
he didn't realize he didn't want to take the Adderall or any of the other ones. And because he didn't like how they made him feel. So he was coming home and self-medicating with the caffeine from the coffee that was helping him focus. So it was just little things in life back then are now cascading into 30-year-old Sean now. And it's honestly been fun to have an old school drip coffee pot again.
Gotta love it, man. Simplicity is king, and I got to kind of come along with your simplicity theme here. First and foremost, love yours, and I'm gonna go with another simple one, like you're saying. You know, you kind of went analog with the journal. Mine is actually just the standard wristwatch.
Yeah,
I prefer the automatic version because again, it goes along with the same theme here. It just I don't have to worry about it. It's always there's a rotor in the back and it self winds, so it's always going to be on. But the important thing here is in our line of work, sometimes you can't have a smart device in certain areas. You can't have also just in general, I don't like having a constant ringing on my wrist
me
and
either.
little pings all the time. I just think it's a complete uh, suck of attention suck really. And having a standard wristwatch just really makes it simple and keeps me understanding where I'm at with certain things and certain priorities. And I think over
Hmm.
time, I started wearing this coming out of school, going into my job. I got just a standard wristwatch, and I have not looked back. It just helps with everything from timing when I need to leave, when I get in, and when your job is literally time is everything, and our line of work is, I'm
Yep.
always billing some different number or some different contract, and so
Yep.
it's very, very, very important. And the timing bezel, it's kind of like your drip coffee. Like I didn't realize how much it would actually enhance until I just went back to it. And it's like you hear people saying, "Oh yeah, you just flip the bezel and you time." But when I first got a watch with it, I just had no idea how to use it. It's such a
Hmm.
weird concept. Like, why would I ever need to turn something to time? Why that seems so archaic. And over the process of doing it just starting absentmindedly, turning it when I need to time a when the pasta is going to finish, or I need to time when the chicken needs to be turned, or
Yep.
I hey, how long am I going to be on this break? Oh, it's that simple, and it's the world's easiest timing method. It's just simply turning to where you are and then watching the minute hand go up to that, and it. I just love it. I love that idea of going back and using just movement as a barometer for where you're at. So for me, that's been a big one. And then the outstanding one for Sean and I here on the podcast has been the DJI Mic Mini podcast setup. I pulled the trigger on these for us to make it more simple when we do some of our in person stuff and if we're on the go. And man, it has been a sinker. It's simple, and they really, really make the process easier. In terms of enhancements, Sean, let's kind of mosey on down to what are some of these things doing to impact our lives for the better? I think you've kind of alluded to some, so let's kind of keep it snappy. I'll go through some, and then we'll
Yeah.
call it a show.
Yeah, so I think that like you said, I've already kind of talked about some of these. YouTube music, right? It lets me relax, and it's really been critical on the motorcycle because it gives me something to relax to while I'm riding. And I love listening to music while I ride, but it's also easy to turn it off, turn it on with the cardo that I use. So YouTube music obviously makes my rides so much more enjoyable. Drip coffee, easy to set. That's actually really helped my mornings and the whole getting ready time of the morning. It's just I have more time to do the things I want to do, whether it's sleep in a little extra before I have to go to work, or it's I want to get up and go for a walk or read a book. I now have a little bit more time in the morning. I'm not worried about spending 15 minutes doing French press stuff, heating the water, doing the whole thing. The Google Calendar, more time to be organized and less stressed of just focusing on doing the things I need to do and being a better person, more responsible person. When I say I'm going to do something and I tell somebody I'm going to do something, I actually remember to do it now. And then a piece of hardware that I actually hadn't touched on yet is I wear a necklace every single day. I've been wearing this necklace every day for probably a year and a half. Yeah, but about a year, a little over a year. And it's from Maritime Supply Co. It was something I just found on Instagram, but they have these little like brass pendants that I really like. It's
Oh.
just on a simple chain that I wear every day. But I've got two pendants on there, and these pendants are things that keep reminding me to see the world through different eyes, and that no matter how dark the day gets, you can keep pushing. So the first one is Memento Vivere, which is the Latin equivalent of Memento Mori, which is remember that you will die, which is supposed to be a way to remember that every day could be your last, always enjoy it like it could be your last. Memento
Hmm.
Vivere is the opposite, it's the flip side of that, and the phrase it's Latin for remember to live. And I really like that because it's a good reminder in don't get too sucked into all the negativity that's happening. Remember to live. Remember that you are alive and life is okay. And then the next one, which is probably the most meaningful one and the one that I look at the most when I'm having really rough times, whether it's at work or in personal life, this one is I've come so far, I think I can run on just a little bit longer. And it's always a constant reminder of everything that I've accomplished in life that got me to where I am now. And then no matter how
Mm.
bad today is feeling, I've come this far. I can go just a little bit farther. And then the next day, I can go just a little bit farther. And it's the same mentality when I'm assuming you're doing a long bike ride or doing a run or on a long walk or a hike, and your body's starting to be like, I don't want to do this anymore. And all you go in your mind is just a little bit farther. Then we can reassess. And then you get there and you're like, just a little bit farther. Then we can reassess. And it's that constant just focus on what's right in front of you and just go a little bit farther. And then when you get there, go a little bit farther. And you just keep doing that over and over. And that's
Yep.
really how you survive
Yeah.
in life, right? So I
Yeah.
love wearing those. I will always keep them around my neck. They're a constant reminder. Every time I hear the chain move, it's a constant reminder of the dark days can get better.
I love that, Sean. And it's funny you mentioned that just a little bit farther methodology of thinking because ironically, I was listening to a post-race interview with Keegan Swenson, and they were talking about this last climb of the course, and it's 105 miles, and you have to hit this one really heavy climb that's sort of like an escalator called power line. So pretty much what it is you climb one and then you descend. And then you climb up, you have to climb up
Oh
and climb
God.
up even higher and then descend. And then you have to climb because you know how power lines sort of how that
Yeah.
work. They go up and down to release some of the stress. Like it's not just a
Mhm.
straight line up the hill. So that's what you do on the bike. And the way he was looking at it, it's like, oh no, you can't look at it like you're going to be climbing for 40 minutes because that's how long it was taking a lot of the amateur athletes, right? It's like a 50-minute, 40 to 50-minute climb. He's like, no, what you got to do is you got to break it down to three 13-minute climbs. So 13 minutes up, okay, and then I come back down. Okay, then 13 minutes, and then
Yep.
and it, again, it was like, oh, this guy's a killer. Like that is the next level thinking that gets these guys to this level of aptitude when it comes to endurance activities. And
Yep.
everything in life is an endurance activity. That's where I'm at today. I mean, whether it's on the bike, I mean, for me, the biggest journey is actually getting on the bike in the first place. It's just, I'm going to get out there. Once I get on, it's like, oh, yeah, you know what to do. Your
Hmm.
body knows what to do. But it's just sometimes that first, okay, I need to get the shoes on. Okay, now I need to walk out the door. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm on. We're good. But like leading up to that, there's so much that goes into that. And I say it to my kids. I when we're out hiking, just a little bit farther.
Hmm.
Just a little bit farther. It's a really good mantra. Um, and I'll second, I think there's a few things I also didn't mention earlier, but in terms of impacts to my hobbies, because that's what these are. These are things that are impacting our lives and our hobbies for the better. I have been using an iPad, and that has been great for just being able to put on a show and ride my exercise bike. Or if I'm on a work trip, just having that little extra, like bigger FaceTime or a bigger screen for looking at a map or, you know, interacting with various things when you just need a little bit of a larger palette. So I've
Yeah.
been surprised by that. I think the tablet definitely is here to stay. it just seems to work really well. And with how fast and efficient silicone is, Sean knows well. Mr. ASML, thank you. Things are just getting better. I mean, I picked that up for 300 bucks and it like can fly through anything. So
Hmm.
it's really impressive. I'm going to keep that around. And that's a positive impact for sure. Obviously, Strava and mapping my rides has been really great, but from a hardware standpoint, something I never thought I'd say, every year I get another piece of gear for my cycling. You know how I kind of work it, Sean. It's like once a year I'll pick up like a new piece of gear.
Yeah.
And this year I picked up like they just had a sale on one of my favorite bicycle brands. And I picked up a jersey that's sort of like quote unquote the pro team
Okay.
jersey. And, it's like one of those things you pay a little bit more, but man, I went and wrote it. It's like perfectly fit, and they have the thing that really separates it is there's a second seam on the back, so it like
Ah,
perfectly hugs your torso. And I was out in a headwind this weekend, like going head on into like a 10 to 12 mile per hour headwind, and I could feel the difference totally. I was like, and
that's
those are the
wild.
differences right there in terms of having like if you have stuff hanging and you can make fun of people in tight clothes all day long. These tight bicycle rider people,
Hmm.
me being one. But man, there is a purpose for that hardware. Let me tell you. I didn't realize it was actually hardware, Sean. Now I'm starting to unlock and like get it. Like, okay, so I feel better. I don't take as much wind resistance, so I'm faster. Oh, okay. How many more things is this going to like
Hmm.
open up for me? And it's like you just don't know until you go and try it. Now, you don't have to do it day one, listeners. We always say this, but yeah, I mean that it's been an enhancement, Sean, and one I did not realize would be.
That's impressive. I didn't, it makes sense. I guess I never really knew they sold kind of specialty jerseys like that, but it absolutely does make sense. I've seen people in the really skin tight,
Yeah.
riding outfits, and I do kind of look at it and go, that looks so uncomfortable. But I guess if you're saying it's actually pretty comfortable, then maybe I've been just seeing it wrong the whole time.
No, it was weird because yeah, I've had that same line of thought, like, oh, I'll just go like budget. I'll go the mid tier.
Yeah.
And I've sort of worked my way up. That's been the beauty of it. So I will say to every listener, you can just go like mid tier, but as I've unlocked and sort of committed to like, oh,
Hmm.
like quote unquote, again, this is like the pro team jersey. I was like, oh yeah, I feel fast. Like I legitimately felt like, oh, there's nothing stopping me today. Like I put
Uh-huh.
it on and I was like, even my wife was like, ooh, that's nice. I was like, babe, protein. I'm part of the protein.
Protein.
It's, so yeah, that's been a fun one to really unlock. And yeah, anything else to kind of share here, Sean, in terms of unlocking potential for your hobbies? I mean, we could talk for a long time on it, but
I would say I would just recommend to the listeners regularly go through and just start looking up, if your hobby and see what kind of new technology may be out there, but
yeah,
don't hold it to just the cutting edge technology. It could be something as simple as pen and paper, like you talked about the impact of those journals on my mental health has been crazy. It could be the littlest thing, the new app, it could be anything. So regularly take stock with what you're doing and what maybe new tech may be out there that you can utilize and let it change your life, or choose not to do anything, and that's totally fine too. You don't have to do any of it, but there are things out there that will make things a lot easier for you.
I think it's a great way to end it, Sean. With that, listeners, we hope you enjoyed that. Sean, give us a quick rundown on what you learned this week before we close it down.
Yeah, I did learn that cigar time is always worth it. That's my thing. I actually hung out with our good friend Vicente yesterday, and we went out for dinner. And then we came back to my apartment, sat on the balcony, smoked some cigars that he'd actually gotten for free from a corporate event that he did last week. And we just sat there and we just talked about life and relationships and a lot of work and a lot of stuff. And it was just a reminder that the cigar was just the reason we got together. It's really just how important friendships are and taking that
Yes.
time to see your friends. But it was just that if anyone offers you a cigar, as long as you're of legal age, don't say no. Like, in my opinion, at least for where I'm at in life, if anyone offers me a cigar, I'm always going to say yes because with that cigar is going to come conversations and learning stories and talking to people. And it's never just the cigar. It's the bonding moment that the
Yeah,
cigar offers.
I like
Yeah, so
that.
that was my lesson this week. A cigar time is always worth it.
I love it, Sean. Great way to end. And this has been a really fun one. I mean, it's great to take stock as always and see where we're at. I love your closing thought. Just take a moment to really look at some of the things you're enjoying. I think starting there always and seeing what's happening in the industry. I mean, that's been some of my most fun moments regarding cycling this year, Sean, have all been seeing and looking more at what the pros are doing to
Yep.
help enhance what I'm doing because I enjoy it so much. And it's been a fun takeaway and a really a fun exercise. So with that, listeners, we hope you enjoyed this episode. We hope you found value from the software we're using. Maybe you got encouraged to try in something new. Maybe you thought, hey, I'm going to go and do some of this generative AI stuff. But we want you to be safe, enjoy yourself out there. And if you have any questions or comments, you can always drop them in the comments below this show and or reach out to us directly at our Gmail account. We do enjoy you as a listener, and we thank you for taking the time. Leave us a like and or follow us. That keeps the lights on here in the lounge. And as you can see, we got a lot of neon. But this has been episode 159. It'll be coming out at the regularly slated time, 6 a.m. Friday, best day of the week, Sean. And with that, you know where to find us at the How
How
to
to
Hobby
hobby
podcast.
podcast.
Cigar time is